This is a Singer 101, and the importance of this video is to let you know that after you oil your machine, you want to oil it before you use it. You don't need to oil it before every single time you use it. But this, I had let it set for a few years after I had last used it because I have so many machines. And basically, one of the things to remember is this is a gear-driven machine, not a belt-driven machine. And the gears are going to be lubricated with grease. The rest of the machine is lubricated with sewing machine oil. But the lubricant in the motor, and this has the potted motor on the back, that lubricant needs to be able to warm up enough for the sewing machine to be able to actually reach its top rate of speed. You don't want to have, if you're going to run it like this, you don't want any thread in it, obviously. I've got the bobbin in it because it's not actually got a needle to pull the bobbin thread out. But basically, it has really sped up once it had run for a couple of minutes long enough to warm up that lubricant in the gears in the motor. So if your Singer 101 is running slowly, go ahead and oil it and take your needle out and your thread, and or at least take your thread out of the needle and let it run. Basically, you'll of course sit there and run it with your foot on the pedal or the knee bar, depending on which one yours has. But doing this is what allows the machine to go closer to its actual top speed, normal speed for operating. If you only sew a teeny tiny bit and you want it to go slow, you don't need to worry about doing this. But if you want your machine to be able to sew at its top speed, you do need to give it a chance to let the motor warm up long enough to melt some of that lubricant and allow it to actually get moving faster. Because the colder the lubricant is, and this is also something you'll find in old sewing machine manuals, it'll state that you should move the machine to a room where it will be warm before you start sewing, and allow it to warm up to room temperature first, because obviously people didn't have heating when machines first came out. They didn't have heating in their homes other than like a fireplace or something. And basically the lubricants will make the machine run much, much slower when the lubricants are cold, because they're more solid at lower temperatures. I'm in North Carolina and this is summertime, so it's nice and warm. But even so, I have an air-conditioned home, and so my machine had been air-conditioned for a very long time and had not been run. But as you can tell, it's running nice and pretty good speed for a home sewing machine right at this point. But I'd probably let it run at least 3 minutes now, because that's how long I've been videotaping. But right before I started, I really saw an increase from the haven't been used in a long, long time to being used. And you can actually smell that it's warming up now. Now, I don't have my light turned on. One thing to be aware of, the old light bulbs are hot, very hot. And if there's any dust on them, it will make a hot electric smell. And also if there's dust on this up here, you may need to dust the bulb itself too. But when you turn this on, these actually get hot enough that the old sewers used to actually use this as a mini iron. You could just run your fabric over that, like if you wanted to iron a little crease, you could just rub it across this if you have it clean when the light bulb is on, because it gets that hot. So that's another tip I guess a lot of people aren't aware of. But anyway, this is the first all-electric sewing machine that Singer ever made. That was never ever made in a treadle. Some people have, for fun, altered them to like a 201 to make their Singer 101 treadle. I've heard of at least one person doing that, but Singer never did make a treadle Singer 101. It was an all-electric. It was the first all-electric sewing machine. This was the beginning. It's before the 201. A couple differences to be aware of. The Singer 201 does not have this wicking octopus oiling system. And the hook, even though the Singer 201 is also a rotary hook, like this 101 is a rotary hook, the rotary hook on the 101 turns counterclockwise. the rotary on the 201 runs clockwise. So even though they're using the same type of system, it's going a different direction. And so you'll notice that when you do your bobbin thread, the spring and everything goes a different direction, because with the Singer 101 you're threading towards the back, with the 201 you're threading towards the front, because of the different direction that the rotary hook spins. But anyway, Singer did not continue with this wicking oil system. It's a nice system. It's very, very cool. It's a very interesting historical thing. But for the most part, most people found it was easier to do, and machines were better kept. They remembered to do a better job of keeping them lubricated if they went ahead and just oiled each of the points. As you can see, all these little oiling holes. Basically this wick, the idea behind it was, if you're leaving your machine up all the time, you would fill this little well with oil, and it would lubricate all this cotton. I'm gonna call it threading, that's not the wrong word, but wicking. It's almost like a cotton or wool bootlace, but it has a little copper wire holding it there, but little metal arms are underneath supporting each one. And basically the idea is, if you've got enough oil in them, then they will drop drops of oil off of the wicks down into these little holes and lubricate the machine. Notice this has these little holes at the ends of this too that are for lubricating these. So but anyway, this is what the inside of it looks like at the moment. There's with the light on, but because the inside of the machine is painted black, it's very difficult to see down inside without using flash or something really, really bright. And the light's nice and bright for sewing, but it is not bright enough that it's going to make that black in there easier for you to see with my cell phone camera, which is not like the world's greatest camera. But anyway, so that's your Singer 101, or my Singer 101. It is a straight stitch only. It does not have reverse. Of course, that's not really a problem. You can either sew 3 stitches, scoot your fabric back, and then sew over it again at both the beginning and end of your seams, or if you want to, you can actually, this is your stitch length dial, and it's the only machine Singer ever made with this dial, and it's about the size of a United States quarter. And it is calibrated in stitches per inch. This is 30 stitches per inch over here. 30, 20, 15, 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So basically, you can go from 6 stitches an inch, like for basting, to 30 stitches an inch, which you might use on like a really fine silk or something like that, where you want really fine stitches. But only the earlier machines usually could do up to the 30 stitches per inch, because most sewing is not done that fine anymore. Bobbin winders up here, and it's a very nice class 66 bobbin, a nice little round one. But it's a very simple machine, very, very easy to use, simple to maintain, simple to oil. You can even maintain the motor pretty easily yourself. This is your clutch release for your bobbin winding. You hold the outer clutch, or the outer hand wheel still, and then turn the inner, which the inner wheel has a little bit of grippy on the outsides of it, which makes it easier to get a good handhold to be able to turn it counterclockwise to release the clutch, so that when you wind the bobbin, the needle won't go up and down. Very simple machine. And by the way, this is your bobbin winding spool pin. When you have the bed of the machine, I have the bed of the machine off at the moment. You literally fit the bed of the machine. See, there's a little hole for your calibrated stitch length, and notice the little gold arrow that tells you what line to set your stitch length at. That is what this little gold arrow is for. But anyway, when you do have to have your needle out and your presser foot removed to be able to get the plate on and off. You'll notice this is the old school bell kind of bobbin winding tension mechanism, and the hole for the bobbin winding spool pin. You basically are going to slide this plate in sideways here, and up and over this, and it'll go around this, and then you have 4 screws to screw down the bed. And by the way, this is your sewing machine presser foot pressure adjuster. You screw it to the counterclockwise to lessen the pressure on the presser foot, and turn it clockwise to strengthen the pressure on the presser foot. And that's pretty much the basics about the Singer 101. And this is Becky Ricewire signing off. Singer 101.